Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Davis, and I'm an investor at the Female Innovators Lab by Barclays and Anthemis. Today, we have a very special guest, Kat Cruz, who's going to walk us through the top 5 on how to attract and identify top talent. Kat, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about this topic.
So let's just dive right in. What would you say are the top 5 tips for attracting and really identifying that top talent for new founders?
Firstly, iterate on building the right job brief and ideal profile. Number 2, hire purposely for diversity in thought and approach. Number 3, invest in time and capital in the process. Number 4, cast your net wide and as wide as possible. And number 5, be relatable. People are people, not unicorns or ninjas.
I love that. So if I'm a founder, I'm sitting with that job description, what do I include in that first job description?
The way that I think about this job description is actually in 2 parts. The first is the brief. What are the core responsibilities that this person will be accountable for? And secondly, what is the ideal profile of this individual in terms of expertise, in terms of approach, and in terms of previous experience? When you treat them separately, you'll notice that you'll probably become a lot more objective, and also you'll build the criteria of what you'll be assessing candidates against during the interview process too.
Amazing. And why do you think it's so important to hire purposely and for values alignment?
This is particularly important in the early days because you want to ensure that the conscious and unconscious biases that you might have to approaching business doesn't seep into how you hire for the same uniform of thought. You need a lot more creativity. You need people to take calculated risks. And so people who have different perspectives and lens on a business can help deliberate, interrogate, potentially even sell the business in a way that you wouldn't expect. And doing this early means that you can build values that everyone feels like they own.
So we're seeing such a competitive market in recruiting and really getting that talent. So what is your advice to founders of how do you actually really secure that top talent?
The first thing to consider in making sure you're attracting top talent is to make sure as much as possible you are competitive in salary. Folks really are more aware of their value, and so this will be really important. The second is to really ensure that in terms of attracting lots of talent, you are promoting roles in different and multiple channels. So in channels where you can find these experts hanging out. So for example, the Slack communities is one area where you can get creative in promoting these roles. The second is being able to actually pay for jobs boards and for recruiters.
Where are the best places to look for top talent?
Typically, people will refer to LinkedIn as the best channel because everyone has a professional profile there. But I'd urge founders to be a lot more creative and think about where might these talented folks hang out. So be a lot more kind of network effect driven and maybe find the Slack communities that these folks are hanging out in. Think about the fact that engineers might be using Discord as a platform and finding roles there. And or even marketing professionals using TikTok, for example, and creatives using these different channels. Go beyond the typical channels of LinkedIn and your referrals to ensure that you're really casting the net wide.
So last question, but not least, once you've actually made that hire, how do you build that relationship with them?
Great question. I think this comes back to the point of ensuring that you are investing time post-interviewing and hiring this candidate. So they're now part of the team, and it's good to build in the intentional time to be social together so that you're finding more about them and them more learning about you as well. There'll be times where you'll have really stressful moments, and being able to relate to each other in a human way is really important.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kat. I feel like I learned so much during that session about how do we actually attract and really secure that top talent. If you want to learn more about Anthemis or the Female Innovators Lab in partnership with Barclays, see the link below. And a huge shout out and thank you to Kat for joining us today.
Thanks, Elizabeth. It's been fun.